Evolve Beyond Borders is proud to introduce Rene Sondeijker, founder and managing partner at Sondeijker Partners. Rene is an internationally renowned keynote speaker with over 2 decades of industry experience. He is a senior transformation leader specialized in M&A and post-merger integration, digital transformation, and people and organizational change. Let's welcome Rene as he shares his insights on Organize Yourself Before You Drop, HR interventions to scale up your business.
Good morning and good afternoon, and thank you for joining. Welcome to Evolve Beyond Borders. My name is Rene Sondeijker. Today I want to share with you my insights and learnings as a practitioner in supporting scale-up companies as they transform to drive business performance. Key question: how to organize yourself before you drop. Looking at scale-up companies, you can roughly distinguish 3 different phases of scaling up: startup, scale-up, and high growth. And in this session, I want to reflect on how you can build your HR roadmap to proactively manage negative impact on your bottom line. You will be faced with unprecedented HR challenges that may impact your business. Is the way you have structured your organization enabling your growth? Are your key HR processes and systems fit for purpose? And how do you manage change and communicate effectively with key stakeholders? At the end of this presentation, there are a couple of key takeaways. First, what are commonly experienced HR challenges during each scale-up phase? What interventions can you use to effectively and proactively manage these? And third, how to manage a scale-up transformation. In doing so, we will touch upon some of the scale-up success factors as reported by Scale-Up Nation in their 2020 report, The Art of Scaling. Let's have a look at some of these success factors in the startup phase on the next slide. In the startup phase, quality of the team and having a smart strategy is key. So here you see some of the success factors listed. Let's start with scale up your DNA. First and for all, it's important to have a compelling vision and impact mission. Also, to play in a large and growing and profitable international market, in which you have a business model that really becomes disproportionately more profitable with scale, and a product with a unique advantage that makes the product distinctive. And last but not least, solving a real and urgent need. And of course, it should be significantly better than competition. To do so, you need to have access to finance, which speaks for itself. But I think another important element is the team, and especially the leadership team at the start of the new company. Mostly what you see as definitely a success factor is that people have entrepreneurial experience, functional expertise, and leadership skills. This allows them to have constructive debate with different perspectives based on the accumulated experience. And in the startup phase, it's important to explore and have architecting skills to develop new business and products. And later on, you will see that it's also important, of course, to conduct and direct the teams once you move and become bigger. And what you see in this phase with successful startup companies is that they usually have a coaching board, which is significantly different than a controlling board. It's basically a board with experienced people who can guide them through the scaling journey. Now let's deep dive a little bit on the HR challenges and interventions on the next slide. In the startup phase, you lead the team through embryonic stages of business. And some of the typical HR challenges that you can see is that you need to attract and retain the talent. And how do you select the right leadership team? A leadership team that's capable, of course, in growing the organization from scratch. Building a strong company culture is part of that and is forming the DNA that will make the startup successful and enable it to rapidly grow. And of course, always you can see that there are different interventions possible. Some listed here below, like implementing employee training and developing programs. But also on the right, you can see important elements on which I will tell a little bit more later in the presentation. Potential interventions that these challenges address are implementing employee training and development programs, offering competitive benefits and perks, and regularly conducting performance evaluations. To the right, you see also some other key building blocks that need to be addressed in this phase. But let's now focus a little bit on the leadership database findings from the earlier mentioned paper out of 2020 by Scale Up Nation. 46% of scale-up founders lead from behind by enabling the team to take over. 25% lead from the front, lead by example and by going first. So it tells you already that there are many ways in this phase to lead, and it will also, of course, depend a little bit on the situation and the organization itself. But it is important that there is strong leadership. And next to that, scale-up take seriousness in hiring senior leaders, but also other people that will need to join the company, and do so based on objective criteria for the best positions. Now, in the next phase, focus will be on team expansion, and of course, to make sure that you have an excellent execution. This is really pivotal in this scale-up phase. And here, we will focus a little bit on 3 elements that make it successful. One is the dynamic structure. It is important to have a learning and experimental culture in which people feel capable of experimenting and trying new customers, new markets as ideas, and then also executing it, of course. But fostering a culture that is basically resembling the personalities of the founders. That is mostly what you see happening, and that also defines, of course, the company's success. Very important, I would say, is firm management and support processes, especially to onboard staff. Once you start growing quickly, you need to have a smooth process in place, and of course, following up processes as well as listed here below. Next to that, look at strategic leaps, combining, for instance, local market adoption with cross-country synergies, brand consistency, not to reinvent the wheel, but make sure that you conquer, let's say, the global markets, but also stay tuned to necessities in the local market. Developing and launching new products with increased quality and functionality. Every new launch should be better to stay ahead of competition, and take advantage of unexpected opportunities. Be ready to ride the wave. And of course, you can never predict that, but if you manage yourself in a good way, you can be prepared to take the opportunities as they come along. To accelerate, you need to have and create a business flywheel. So quickly establish a beachhead. It means a dominant share in a niche market to claim a leadership position. And from there, you can move forward and build and expand. Lean operations with standardized processes will allow you to save cost and get automated process in place. And of course, it's not only about cost, it's also about quality. And once you automate with less manual interactions, you will have better quality products. And again, learning velocity, because having people who are innovative need also to be quick on learning, but do so based on consumer insights, KPIs, results, etc. So it should be fact-based, and then you can move it ahead. Now, also in this phase, you have, of course, your regular challenges. And it is important, as said, to make sure that you are quick. Take off quick from the ground, make speed, and be ahead of competition. And some of the HR challenges will prove to be that you need to manage team dynamics in a growing environment. One element could be maintaining a positive work-life balance. That's not uncommon that people make many, many hours in the startup phase, but if you are starting to scale up, you also want to retain people longer term, and it should be also, people should be able to do so. So you need to organize yourself for that. And as you will have those teams growing, there will be also increasing levels of complexity and responsibility. Now, That also means not only that you need to have the right people, it also means that you need to build a flexible organization structure that can grow along with the growing of the company and the number of staff that you will have. And then also, of course, an HR department becomes pivotal. Do you have best-in-class HR processes, but also systems and services that support your workforce? And as said before, drive a steep learning curve, and organizational development is, of course, key. Now, some of the interventions: implementing team building activities, offering flexible work arrangements, or providing support for employees to manage their workloads and stress. And to the right, again, you see some building blocks that can help you get there, and we'll dive into that on the next slide. Before we do so, however, let's have a look at some of these learning and culture database findings that are reported. So almost all of the scale-ups encourage their employees to experiment. So you can tell this is very important. And tells something if 96% of the scale-ups is applying that. And another point I want to point out here is the 70%, 75% of scale-ups that have an onboarding process that supports steep growth. As said earlier, this needs to be seamless. Okay, let's move to the next slide. And here I want to give an example of one of the building blocks, as stated before, organization design and governance, a topic which is really important to support your business goals and performance tracking. And as you can see here, organization design and governance has a couple of key elements. So coordination, who's doing what? What about your leadership and culture? What's essential behavior you want to see? How are decisions being made? But also your planning and control cycle. How are plans and budgets made and translated to teams and individuals? And to close it off, performance indicators. How do you organize for accountability? And this all being tied together in a meeting structure that makes sure that you move as one. Now, to get there, you start from the strategy and, of course, the goals that you want to achieve, or the critical success factors, which determines also how you can best support that with a clear organization structure that builds a good condition to reach those goals, together with the processes and the governance that you have to put in place to make it happen. And you see that on that exercise, in the end, it becomes very clear who is doing what in concrete job profiles, and that will enable you to manage your business and, of course, to develop the organization that you are driving. Next example is team expansion through focus on employee experience. And I'm not going to dive into that in very much detail, but as you can see, it is actually covering the whole employee life cycle, from talent acquisition and onboarding to review performance, reward people, make sure that you identify the right talent and grow them. And of course, from that talent, also appoint your leadership, which in turn is responsible to make sure that you have the culture that you want, and you have the behavior that you can see with the employees to be successful. In the high growth phase, you see that you can accelerate the growth and also expand your product and market dominance. And some of the typical HR challenges here you will see is managing international expansion, integrating acquisitions if you're not growing autonomous anymore, or a combined strategy of autonomous growth and acquisitions, and maintaining a strong company culture. And some of the interventions could have, focus on diversity and inclusion initiatives, or, for instance, cross-cultural training for employees, and regular communicating the company's mission and values to all employees. Now, to the right again, some of the building blocks. I'll get into that in a minute, but let's again have a look at some of the database findings. Now, the majority of scale-ups have metrics to measure the speed of improving product and service performance. So you can see here, as well as the second bullet, that everybody has clear tasks. So there's a clear focus. What do you want to achieve? who's going to organize for that. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So this is one of the examples where the central question is how to achieve execution excellence through digital transformation. If you upgrade or implement a new HRIS system that is more than fit for purpose, you want to create a positive employee experience, which in turn, of course, will support a superior customer experience and therefore create value for yourself and your clients. And as you can see, there are some building blocks to get there. It's about putting the right supporting tools in place. Again, how does it support your culture? And what does it do for your physical work environment? And in today's environment, you also see that a lot of people work from home. So remote working, supported by digital tools, is of course a key success factor in today's business environment. Through international expansion, you will be confronted with different cultures, and Hofstede has detected several dimensions to capture country differences. And it is also possible to describe, therefore, relatively different countries on these elements as described above. Now, I won't go into much detail here, but it's important that it will help you to identify and prepare for these differences, and also how you want, therefore, to make sure that you can collaborate effectively. This is anyhow important in any business, but if you're growing, it can become a key element in being successful or not. And especially if you are growing through acquisitions, it becomes even more so important to make sure that the acquired company and the new company that comes after the acquisition is having a culture that also supports the company goals. Now, for that, you need to acknowledge and honor the past and the present, and not, overlay the other company, at least if you want to collaborate effectively from the start. And you can do that by also defining together, how do you want to be as a company in the future? So what's your vision about the future? Also in terms of the kind of culture and behavior you want to see. And from that, work towards the short term in defining what will make the collaboration successful. And then maybe a last intervention that you can look at, which is more around organizing for growth, looking at, where do you want to play? So reorienting phase, you will co-create a shared vision of the future with new solutions and do so on validated insights. Next, you need to connect that across the organization, explore all the issues and define the capabilities which will get you to the future state. So this is basically the start of building a roadmap towards the future and how you are going to get there. So once you have concluded on your reorientation and you have clear goals, you need to reconfigure, meaning building a playbook to transform to the future state based on insights and proven solutions, and then customize that in a roadmap in which you design actually the employee journey to take everybody along. And last but not least, basically you need to revitalize, because you make a change, also your cultural change will empower individuals and improve their employee experience in the new setup. So what made you successful in earlier stages may not be the success that you're looking for in the next stage of your development. And then make sure, again, that you collaborate to deploy the solutions in a way of working that drives business performance. And mostly what you see in today's environment, and certainly in scaling up companies, they want experiments, and agile ways of working is a good way to support it. Now, looking at these different phases, you can see that over the years, I think there are some learnings, and especially some learnings that get you organized before you drop, as stated before, which means that you need to have clear transformational goals and operational requirements to start with. But then what are the key success factors in doing so? Now, first, it needs to be a defined alignment in business and countries. If businesses or people have different objectives and they are not aligned, this is not a good start for a good transformation. Therefore, if you look to the project and results management box, it's about making sure that you drive that relentlessly. And you can do that best with proven process, tools, and methods. And last but not least, as always, I think experienced teams to support your transformation are important. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. And here you can see, as we have seen in the presentation, each phase company scaling has unique challenges. And they are listed here. But I think what is important is that the challenges may be similar to many scale-up companies, but interventions and solutions will differ significantly. And that also means that you have to design a roadmap for HR that goes along those challenges. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope I could help you with my practitioner insights to look at this subject and maybe get some inspiration. And of course, given the fact that we just start the new year, I want to close with wishing you a very successful but especially healthy new year, and look forward maybe to meet in the new year again. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.